Hi, I'm Susan Beattie, the author of Luke's Storybook Adventure Series. This video, called Luke's Western Adventure, is Luke and myself in the Luke-mobile from Florida all the way to Colorado and visiting museums and sanctuaries. I hope you enjoy it. Luke's Western Adventure. The Luke-mobile was packed and ready to roll again, but this time we were heading west. Luke hopped in the driver's seat, and I had to remind him that he had his own special seat. We drove north from Palm Beach and then across the panhandle of Florida. Upon arriving in Pensacola, we tested the water. We made footprints and paw prints in the sand, just after it appeared that a bird had done the same before us. The next morning, we continued along the coast of Alabama, Mississippi, and stopped to have lunch in New Orleans, Louisiana at the famous Acme Oyster House restaurant, where Luke waited patiently in the van for us. After lunch, we continued along our journey and settled for the night in a small Texas town. After a few hours of driving the next day, we arrived to tour the National Cowgirl Hall of Fame Museum in Fort Worth, Texas, featuring women of the American West. This brought back many memories from my childhood where I rode my horses on trail rides, in parades, and shows. A couple books I read as a child about horses were here on display, like My Friend Flicka and National Velvet. Luke was amazed at the floor-to-ceiling film screen of life-size horses running freely. He wanted to run with them. What really surprised him was the lifelike hologram of Annie Oakley, talking where he could see and hear her, but he couldn't smell her, which was very confusing to him. Upon leaving, we had time to catch the mega adoption event for domestic and farm animals by the SPCA, Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which is what Luke and my mission is all about too. Just like Luke, many were adopted to their forever homes that day. We couldn't see the Cowgirl Museum without visiting the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City. It was full of history, Western and Indian artworks, artifacts, and culture. We posed for pictures outside with beautiful statues like the one here of a Native American couple on horseback. On our way through Oklahoma, we stopped to look at the sad mural portraying the Trail of Tears, depicting the route along which the United States government forced several tribes of Native Americans to move to reservations west of the Mississippi River. The relocated tribes suffered from harsh elements of weather, disease, and starvation while en route to their newly designated area. Many of my books teach the spirituality, respect of land, customs, and traditions of the Native Americans and indigenous people of other countries. Before long, we were driving through beautiful Santa Fe and Taos, New Mexico, where we stopped to take in all the beautiful Native American art, Pueblo-style architecture, the historic district, and adobe landmarks. It's amazing how the landscape changes. We were getting close to our destination when we drove through Leadville, Colorado, and walked through the National Mining Hall of Fame Museum. Since Luke is a door greeter at Greg's jewelry store, and all of my books touch on pieces of jewelry beginning from primitive times, it was fun to see chunks of gold, silver, minerals, crystals, and gemstones from around the world. We got to walk through a replica of an underground mine where lifelike people were placed throughout to reenact the life of a miner. A trip out west isn't complete unless you travel Independence Pass, with its steep drop-offs, winding curves, and narrow stretches. I had to drive slow. Named after the town of Independence, Colorado, once a thriving silver mining town, now a ghost town with the remains of miners' cabins who had settled there from Leadville. We continued driving and crossed the Continental Divide, which is the boundary separating continents' river systems. We reached our destination, once called Ute City, and originally named after the Ute Native Americans who inhabited the area. Ute City was later renamed Aspen, after the aspen trees that turned brilliant yellow in autumn. This was why the Utes referred to the area as Shining Mountains. We arrived in Aspen just in time for the 4th of July activities early the next morning. The streets were lined with cheerful people for the annual Aspen Parade. We got right in the middle of the crowd to proudly wave to the passers-by, celebrating our country's independence. The summer market was always active, and the flowers bloomed throughout the town and mountain trails. We hiked almost daily high up Smuggler Mountain, where in the Smuggler Mine, the largest silver nugget weighing in at over 2,000 pounds was found. We met dogs and their companions also hiking all over the mountain. On another side of the mountain, we looked for silver nuggets. I found a few tiny ones. Miners had come to Aspen during the silver mining boom. We hiked higher up the mountain and peeked inside an old abandoned silver mine and miner's cabin called the Midnight Mine, reminding me about the miner's hard life. In the late afternoon, we stopped by the St. Regis Hotel for Yappy Hour, which is happy hour for dogs. It was there that Luke met several new friends. He even got to run and play one day with his friend Hannah. One of the biggest summer fundraising events in Aspen is the annual Duck Derby, where thousands of yellow rubber ducks purchased with your name are set into the Roaring Fork River for a race to the finish line, where the winner receives a grand prize. Luke is pictured here with his duck before the race, but unfortunately he didn't win. After riding the gondola up the mountain, which didn't faze Luke after he had done that in Vermont, we came back down and walked through town, where Luke spotted a sign warning about the bears, who sometimes are found walking about the town. One last favorite event of mine was the very early morning annual Snowmass Balloon Festival, where balloons fill the sky with over 30 pilots competing in a distance race through the Roaring Fork Valley. Luke was startled at first, hearing the sounds of hissing as the balloons, one by one, were filling up and soon lifting off into the sky. As summer turned into fall, there was a chill in the air, and the aspen leaves were beginning to change. It was time to head home. We will miss nature, the sights, sounds, and smells that fill the air in the mountains, and think about John Denver's song, Rocky Mountain High, as the lyrics are etched in stone at the John Denver Sanctuary in Aspen. We can't wait to return. I hope you enjoyed this video. For more information about Luke's storybook adventures and my virtual speaking engagements for schools, click the link to my website in the description or email me. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up or leave a comment. If this is your first time to my site, tap the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. And tap the next video now.